Okay. So basically, the injections are making them more animalistic, which is not what they're going for. In that they want them to be more powerful, yes, but they also want to have control over them, like the control that they have over the 120s, or I mean over the 160s, over the 60s.
Gotcha.
So they want more power, but also more control, and they're ultimately creating something that has a lot of power, but doesn't have any control whatsoever. So that was like a huge problem that I had. Like, they're testing this like on a pretty large scale to like an entire group of reboots, the under 60s, and like the moment that it becomes apparent that it's not a good idea, they just keep going with it, which is totally illogical. And that was a problem that I had.
Okay.
But like,
so it's not even benefiting them.
No, it's not at all. And one of like the under 60s actually ends up like taking out like 4 guards.
Okay.
Because he just snaps.
you think they'll be like, okay, that's
so after
enough.
that, you'd think that program would come to a close, but no, it's still going.
Okay.
And that was a big thing that I couldn't get over, really.
Okay.
So basically, her roommate is she's finding that she's being pulled closer and closer to that point of just snapping and finally like either killing Ren or killing, innocent people, I guess. So she sort of decides to take matters into her own hands and sort of decides to take suicide as a way out. So she ends up killing these guards, but she knows exactly what she's doing. And she's doing it just so that they'll shoot her and pretty much end her life. Wow. Because she saw what happened to the under 60 who snapped, and she doesn't want to become that. So she basically decides to end it like that.
And that's how she goes out.
Yeah, that's how she goes out.
Yeah.
And
that might actually get a tear out of me.
Well, yeah, it was pretty sad.
Okay.
I mean, because this,
Yeah, that sounds sad.
Yeah.
She sounded cool.
She was. I mean, she was pretty cool. I mean, I guess you could say I maybe liked her more than Ren, but, so Ren is, like, really distraught. Mm-hmm. Which actually was a good moment because it shows that she's actually capable of feeling something for someone who she's not romantically involved in, but is sort of like a sister to her.
So is she now romantically involved with,
Pretty much.
Okay.
Like, they haven't kissed, but, like, pretty much. Like, come on.
Let's get there, people.
Anyway, so, like, they have a mission, like, that night, and she's just sort of coping with her friend's death, and she can't really function.
Let me guess.
At her
she
normal
messes
level.
up.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, they go on a group mission, with this character who, before then, she's an over 60, but she's just really super annoying. Okay. And of course...
Is she annoying to Ren or just to you?
Just everyone.
Okay.
Just everyone. Anyway, so she goes on the mission, and her trainee and Ren and, Callum are assigned to bring in this guy, and of course it doesn't go well. And the annoying character and her trainee are killed in the mission. And so Ren has to sort of take charge and, get hold of the situation and stabilize, or I guess, cuff the guy, bring him in. But she sort of just freezes because she can't function. Like, her best friend's dead. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just a mistake that they sent her at all, but I guess because they think that she's so unfeeling, shouldn't be a problem. But anyway, Callum sort of realizes that she's clearly going through a lot, so he sort of takes charge, and he actually succeeds in bringing in...
Oh, snap.
The
man rises for the occasion.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is that he takes his communicator out of his ear, and he stops following orders, pretty much, because he's just like, I couldn't think with, all the voices in my ears, telling me what to do, so I just had to take it out, and,
Mm-hmm.
So they're not happy with him, even though he did,
His job,
because they lost contact with him for a long time, and they weren't happy with that. So they were saying, you need to tell him that he needs to follow orders. and they, of course, sort of ream her out for freezing like that. So then they're saying, like, you really need to step up your training with him. And she tries, but then it becomes apparent that he's actually not, he tells her that he's not going to kill anyone. He refuses to kill anyone.
And how did they find that out? 'Cause I know they do.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I think he's...
Is he talking and they still have, like, the communication in the air or something?
No, I can't remember. He may be ordered to kill somebody and he doesn't, or he may just ask Ren, like, is that something we have to do? And she's like, yeah, it's part of the job. But I can't remember. It's been a while since I was at that part of the book, sorry. But anyway, so it becomes apparent that he's not going to kill anyone, and she realizes that's a huge problem. And so after a while, they realize, like, his training, like, it's okay, but it just isn't going to ever be really a success. He's never going to be a successful reboot in their eyes. So they order Ren that she has to terminate him.
And of course she doesn't.
And of course she doesn't. But the problem...
Because she's in love with him. How could she
yeah.
ever do that?
Exactly. So, but really what I saw, like, that, I guess, is the catalyst for them realizing they have to get out. Because Ren knows that the day is going to come when, she's going to have to kill Callum. And she can't bring herself to do that. But basically, the problem, I saw it as that her friend died. Like, that...
So that was your favorite part, kind of weird.
No, I saw that really as, like, the bigger catalyst that sort of put everything else in motion, in the sense that now they know for sure that HARC or HARC is really sinister organization. So they really need to get out, especially since with all these testings being done and stuff.
And do they?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So Ren has sort of saved the life of this one guard before, and he's actually, like, all the other guards just sort of, like, refuse to interact with the reboots, but, like, he'll actually, like, talk to them and stuff. So so Ren is on a mission once, and she realizes that he's a rebel. He's one of the rebels that is working against HARC or HARC. So he actually tells her that he's gotten people out before, and actually the person who trained her, he helped to escape.
Oh, snap.
And there's apparently this reservation full of reboots in northern Texas, I think. So there's there's reboots who have escaped the establishment, are living off the grid.
Okay.
So Ren is immediately like, oh, we gotta get out then. Like, you gotta help us escape. But he's like, well, and originally he's, like, resistant to this, but they figure out that his daughter is a reboot, and she's being held at another facility, so they're like, okay, like, I'll break your daughter out, but you gotta help us escape.
Fair trade.
Yeah, so he originally caves in, so they are able to escape, and one thing that is sort of, like the reboots are forced to have these, like, tracking devices, like, planted, like, randomly beneath the skin anywhere on their body. So they that's another, like, deterrent as to them leaving, is, like, yeah, like, they can leave, but they don't know where this tracking device is hidden on their body.
The guard doesn't know?
No, the guard does know. He gets them these devices that will pinpoint the tracker, and they just sort of tear it out. But so without his help, they couldn't have escaped, basically.
Gotcha.
So they go out, and they're, I think it's like Austin that they escape to. And of course, like, he wants to track down his parents while they're escaped.
Of course, because we had time for that.
I know, right? And she's like, initially like, okay, that's such a bad idea.
That's like the first place you're gonna look.
But eventually she gives in because, he's just so damn cute. So
you make that little face, and I can't help but comply to you.
So eventually she's like, okay, let's go find your parents. Like, even though we have this mission that we need to complete, sure, let's take a sidetrack. So they track down his parents, and they were apparently pretty well off, but now they're living in the slums because they had to pay for his, like, treatments while he was still alive and sick with this virus. So they're now living in sort of like the slums, and they refuse to sort of like speak to him, and they keep saying like, no, like, you need to leave, like, they'll kill us, like, please go away. Which is great.
This was a great homecoming.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you.
He's really upset, and they end up like taking shelter in his old house, and gets a little.
Oh.
Well, it's not like they have sex.
Oh.
Because it's.
Well, then never mind.
But like they almost do, and then of course he like valiantly is like, well, like she's like, yeah, I guess we can have sex, and he's just like, well, I don't think we should have sex if like you're so blasé about it, and like I want you to really want to have sex, so let's not do it until you really want to. And it's just like, oh, he's just such a gentleman. And blah, blah, blah.
He's such a gentleman. Thanks.
So anyway.
Hey.
So I don't really understand why this part was in the book at all, because nothing really comes of it.
True that.
So yeah. But moving on.
Yeah.
They do successfully break out his daughter.
Was she somewhere else?
She was at another reboot facility.
Okay, so there's more than one. I didn't know.
So
okay.
they wait while she's on a mission, and they plan to get her while she's out on the mission, and they use the device so she can remove her tracker, and she's on the run with them.
Okay.
And they go and take her, as the guard directed, to a house full of rebels, and that's sort of where things start to sort of like boil over. While they're on the streets and they're trying to break out the guard's daughter, it becomes apparent that Callum has also had these shots.
Oh, that's the huge... Oh.
Yeah, so...
Okay, I was just thinking of a dirty thought, but I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
But it was really, really good.
Probably best it's left unsaid.
It was really, really good, though.
Well, later.
Okay.
Tell me later. So basically, she's kind of freaking out about this because she saw how it ended with the kid who killed all the guards, and she saw how it ended with her roommate and her best friend, and so she's really getting nervous about this.
Like, how many injections has he had that, like, I thought it would have to be a many. I didn't know it had to be, like, a few to, like, make them crazy.
Apparently the problem is they'll give them one, and then they'll give them another to sort of neutralize the effects of the first one, and then they'll give them another one, so it's just sort of like whichever cycle that you happen to be on.
Okay, so you only got one, so it's like really deadly.
Yes, so
Gotcha.
one is deadly, then one sort of is supposed to curb the effects of the deadly one. And
it kind of reminds me of that shot I got. You know that shot I'm talking about? The woman one?
HPV?
Yes. Except it's not really deadly now, is it?
No, moving on. Basically, they happened to break him out at an inopportune time, so he didn't get the next installment to sort of neutralize the effect of the more offensive one. But basically, it's a repeating cycle, though. It's not like they give them one that's animalistic and they give them one that's fine and then they stop. It's like, oh, well, then they just give them the animal one then. Okay. So it's sort of like a never-ending cycle, basically. But
it makes them crazy at the same time.
Yeah, it makes them crazy.
Okay.
But apparently there is a shot that will make them normal again for a short time or whatever.
Oh, a short time.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
what's the point then? It's just going to go crazy
The
again.
fact that it's short is because they just then give them the bad shot again. The animal one.
Okay.
There's no reason to this at all. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. Because I really don't understand why if they make them sane for like a short while and then they give them an animal shot again.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Just don't bother trying to understand this.
Okay.
Just understand that his last shot was a bad one.
Okay.
So he's screwed. And the guard's daughter actually got her last shot was a good one, so she's fine
for a bit.
No, I mean she's fine because like they're not around to give her the bad shot again.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, If that makes any sense at all.
I guess. So they can make them sane if they give them a good shot.
They can make them sane if they give them a good shot, but the point is that
they want to give them a bad shot.
They want to give them a bad shot, like, pretty soon after that anyway, so.
Okay.
There's no reason to it.
Okay. Just out in the wind.
Just accept it, move on.
Okay.
So yeah, so the guard's daughter actually ended on a good shot, so she's fine. But Callum is slowly sort of falling apart. And he's getting hungrier and he's needing meat, and that was a huge thing because he was a vegetarian before.
Oh snap.
So
give a vegetarian meat, they go crazy. You do that to like any human. They'll go crazy right off the bat. So
anyway, so he's getting hungry and he's getting more...
Don't tell me he eats her.
No.
Okay, that'd be
interesting. He's getting more violent though.
Okay.
And so she's like, okay, something needs to be done. And so she asks the rebels, like, how much time does he have? And they're like, honestly, not a lot of time. When they figure out when he started to show these symptoms, they're like, he doesn't have a lot of time. So then she's like, okay, I want to break in to, like,
the facility
and steal, like, the
good shot.
The good shots.
Mm-hmm.
And then while they're at it, they're like, well, why don't we just release all of the reboots? And
hey, why not?
Why not? I mean, the huge problem I have with it, too, is, like, you don't know... Like, yeah, you're stealing these batches of good shots, but I would be surprised, I guess, if they had enough for everybody.
True,
who's
but
getting the shot.
How many under 60s are there? Is there a ton? Like, how many people are in these facilities, actually?
There's probably, like, I don't know, maybe, like, hundreds.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess they would have enough for everyone getting the shot. Yeah, I guess they would, because they're all all the under 60s are getting it. So I guess they would have enough for everybody. But they're breaking these people out, like, and they don't know what shot they're on.
That's a great plan.
That was exactly what I was thinking, but I guess, like, afterwards they'll just give it to all of them and be like, yeah, you need to take this.
Okay.
Like, no, not taking any chances. But they don't even discuss that at all. They don't bring that up. So I guess you're just supposed to not question it or just assume that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so they hatch this grand plan to break them out. My problem with it was there was really, like, no suspense at all. Like, the guard's daughter decides to go with them and join them, and work with the rebels and Ren, to get them out. And she actually, like, ends up getting, like, shot in the head.
Wow.
But...
She heals herself.
Yeah, pretty much. Because she's a reboot, she's fine.
Okay.
Like, and, like, at that point, I was like, oh, this is actually really good, because this is introducing tension. Like, yeah, like, she broke the guard's daughter out, but she also got her killed, so I'm sure he's not going to be happy with her. Mm-hmm. So therefore, setting it up for a second book, I guess. So she heals herself, but she's alive, though. She's alive. She's fine. She's just bleeding a lot. But she then goes on to, like, pilot a shuttle. She's fine, basically. She's just dandy. She's great. So anyway, so the guard's daughter gets shot, and yeah, there's no suspense at all, because you realize, like,
she's healing herself.
Nobody,
so they can't
die in this book.
but her best friend, Ren's best friend.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah, okay, never mind. But I just feel like...
Then how did she die, but the girl who got shot in the head didn't die?
She wanted to die, I guess. That was
so they have to be willing not to heal themselves? Can they control?
Well, she just got pumped full of so much lead.
Oh, okay. I like those. I like the way you said that.
Well, anyway, so, but this was one measly bullet, and she says it grazed her.
Okay.
But it was like a forehead wound.
Okay.
So figure that out. But anyway,
I'm still stuck on this good shot, bad shot deal.
So anyway, so
that's the end of the story.
The one who's shot in the head ends up springing all of the reboots while Ren goes in to get all of the shots from the lab or whatever. So she, like, she frees all of the reboots. They head to the shuttles that they have prepared. And Ren is, like, in charge with getting this stuff. So she ends up just, like, totally, like, taking out, like, 4 guards, which is pretty cool.
So that was actually the fun part. So the action part was actually fun, too.
Yeah, it was okay. It was pretty satisfying, I guess.
Okay.
But, like I said, like, after I realized that I didn't think anyone was really going to die, it just sort of took all the suspense out of it. So basically, she goes into the lab and she finds this one guy alive, and she keeps him alive so she can be like, okay, like, where are the shots? Like, I need you to tell me exactly which are the ones that are good.
Don't tell me he tricks her. That would be actually interesting. But anyway.
Well, like, so she's, like, realizing, like, this guy could be lying to me. Like, I don't know. I guess I just have to trust him. Mm-hmm. So he points out the shots, but then he, like, walks through the door and, like, actually, like, seals her in this, like, bulletproof glass sort of, like, lab. Like, he locks her in, I guess. So then he's on his, like, comm saying, like, I got her, y'all gotta come. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, like, apparently it's not bulletproof because she, like, fires a bullet and it actually, like, goes through, like, there's a hole in the material, I guess. So, like, she's sort of, like, panicking, but she's like, okay, I gotta do this, and she, like, kicks through, she just keeps kicking it until it breaks, and then,
Of course you can.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So,
and so she gets free.
She
probably kills the guy, because I would.
She actually doesn't.
Shocked. That's probably the most shocking thing that's happened in this book.
So anyway, she doesn't, and she makes her way to the shuttle, and she gives Callum the shot. And, like, he's just sort of, like, staring like he's, like, just dead, sort of. Like, he's just totally blank. Is
this how the book ends?
No.
Because that would have been a cool ending if you didn't know if it was a good shot or bad shot.
Well, exactly. Like, that's what, like, I kept thinking, like, where is this gonna end? Like, really? Like, you know. But anyway, so she gives him the shot, and it takes forever, but finally he, like, smiles, his stupid little smile, and everything's okay, and they get in the shuttle, and they're happy, and all the reboots are like, yay, thank you for saving us, and, like, where are we going?
And that's the end of the book.
So then, like, they tell them, like, oh, there's a reservation, we're taking you to a reservation, which they hope exists, really, because they don't have real proof. Like, they have the guards, they have the guards' word, and they have the rebels' words, but, like, you know, I was sort of thinking, like, I actually would be really cool if, like, they get there and there's nothing. Like, that would actually be interesting. Like, what are they gonna do now? But no, like, they get there, and, like, the book ends with them, like, reading, like, climbing out of the shuttle and, like, reading the sign, and it's, like, you know, like, no humans allowed, like, all reboot territory.
Oh, okay.
And that's where it ends, like, them reading the sign, and I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah. So, okay. So, is there talk about a second book? Do you know?
I don't know. I didn't look into it.
Okay.
But I feel like, I mean, I guess there's material for them. Like, you know, what are they going to do on this reservation? Like, I mean, it could be, like, there's some sort of mutiny, maybe? Because, like,
Not kind of feels like X-Men.
In a sense, these reboots are sort of, like, been brainwashed by HARC or HARC. So it'd be interesting if they sort of, like, think, like, oh, well, you know, these people aren't leading us very well. I don't know. I mean, I guess they could. There's definitely, you could make it a second book.
I think if there could be a second book, from what I've heard from you, I would say they still have to fight them because they're not dead. It's just one facility they took out.
Well, yeah.
So I would say they would probably go out.
Honestly, like, the war is not over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there would probably be a second book about them going against the government, which would actually sound like a better and more interesting book to me.
Yeah.
Going and facing against the government.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So.
But it was interesting in that they could have left off on much more suspense. So, like I said, I'm not sure if she had planned a second book, but.
Yeah, did you want to say something, like, commenting about what the author, like, what she could have done better? If anything, could she have written something better?
I think she could have been a little more willing to kill more people off. I mean, you
Anytime
don't
you
laugh.
anytime you say that, I automatically
darlings. That's what writers have to do.
The first thing I think about though is like Game of Thrones, which is just like bam, bam, bam.
Well, exactly. She could totally take a page out of George R. R. Martin's book, because, I mean, yeah, like the roommate's death is tragic, but that's pretty much the only big, like,
kill.
Yeah, the only huge kill. And so I was sort of feeling a little, so what? I know everyone's gonna live by the end of this. You know? Like, there wasn't enough
Suspense.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So
that.
Yeah.
Okay. But not as, like, her writing, how was it?
Her writing was okay. Like I said, the beginning was sort of cheesy. Like, you could tell that I wouldn't be surprised if this was her first book.
Okay.
Because early on, it's just sort of bad writing. You don't really get a feel for
the
characters as much in the beginning, other than Ren. Like, the others are just sort of not very well developed until later on.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem, I guess, I don't know. It reads a little bit like, well, I hate to say it, but a little bit like I said, amateurish, as if this is like some sort of like angsty, you know.
If from what you said, the only thing I would probably change,
you just get a lot of Ren being like, "Oh, I'm so dead inside." And it's just like, oh, why don't you go write a sad poem about it? Like, it's not great writing in the beginning.
The only thing I really think I would change is because it took so long to get to the conflict, get to the point that you're just like, you start to invest into these characters, be like, okay, we're actually starting to fight for something, or there's actually something that we need to do. I said it take too long, because...
Yeah, like, I was at, 82%, and that was when they finally decided
it took that long?
Yeah, it took a while.
Wow. Okay.
I read this on my Kindle, so I don't have page numbers for you, but...
I think a lot of people go by percentage now.
Just to give you guys a scope. But, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree, there's a lot...
It takes a while.
Yes.
To get into the good stuff.
There's a lot of exposition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, well, that wraps it up. Hit the comment section. Tell us what you thought about the book if you read it, and if you didn't, give your feedback on if you heard our spoilers. If you heard our spoilers, if you would read it or not, that'd be great if you could tell us. Also, tell us what we should read next. Yeah. Because
I'll read anything.
Yeah, exactly. Danielle Harris, she's an English major. She reads like crazy. She reads for fun, people. She reads for fun. Okay.
Other people read for fun too, Shiva.
That's very true. I read for fun. Definitely not these books, but I read other fun stuff. Alright, so also, huge thing, subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe now.
Subscribe.
Yes. Alright, we're out. We're gonna... I think the next book we'll be reading is The Fifth Wave.
I think so. But if you guys have a better idea, just let us know.
Yeah, exactly. Alright.
Alright.
Peace out.
Bye.